You know, the great James Dean had a strong career on television in episodic dramas and teleplays long before he did it big with East of Eden, Rebel, and Giant. Now, today we're going to be talking about a little bit of a connection that James had with Rod Serling on the episode of the Kraft Theater, which was, a dramatic anthology called A Long Time Till Dawn. Now, this came out in 1953. By Rod Serling. Now, one of the series of dramas presented by Kraft, according to the PaleyCenter.org website. In this program, Dean plays Joe Harris, an impulsive ex-con struggling to turn over a new leaf. The story begins as Joe spends his first evening out of prison, waiting in a New York City diner for his wife Barbie. When it becomes clear that she isn't going to show up, we don't know what factors caused that, Joe grows increasingly enraged. He takes a swing at police Lieutenant Case and later throws Papa, the establishment proprietor, up against a wall, knocking him unconscious. Meanwhile, in a small town in New Jersey, Joe's father, Fred Harris, comforts Barbie, who wonders whether leaving Joe was the right thing to do. A newspaper article describing the visual attack on Papa makes them wonder if Joe would be capable of such a horrendous act. With his head sheepishly bowed, Joe creeps back in the house and tries to make amends with his father, whom he hasn't seen in 3 years. A tense reunion follows, with Joe begging the older man to give him a clean slate and let him start his life over again. When Mr. Harris and Barbie demand to know if Joe was involved in the assault on Papa, Joe lies and swears he wasn't even near the diner. While Joe and Barbie take a nostalgic stroll through the town, mending their strained relationship, Lieutenant Case confronts Mr. Harris on the porch and informs him that Joe is the prime suspect in the attack on Papa. At a crucial point in the interrogation, Mr. Harris unhesitatingly provides an alibi for Joe, who continues to plead his innocence. Hours later, as Joe and Barbie lie in bed and enthusiastically make plans for the future, Lieutenant Case phones to report that Papa has died from his injuries. Joe finally breaks down and confesses. Sequestered up his childhood room, surrounded by his toys, an unhinged Joe draws his gun and initiates a shootout with the police, positioned on the front lawn. Now, when you say this is shows like this were a piece of cheese, literally, because there was commercials shown as part of the show, again, the Kraft Theater, including Kraft Deluxe Slices, Kraft Natural Swiss Cheese, and Kraft Nippy's processed cheese food. Now, we know that James Deal's style of acting, a lot of cheese. Serling's writing could be cheesy, but it would have been interesting to see if Serling and Dean could have worked on a different type of show back in the day. But Serling, he said in published reports, he said everything I was writing was selling like crazy because you had patterns, you had the comedian, all these different shows that were selling. He was winning Emmys, and as soon as he put it out, it was being sold. Now, this is what you call a 2 out of 4 melodrama, but to look back in retrospect, I think Dean was like 22 or 23 at this point, and there was aspects of the great charisma that he would show later on. But he was just playing, again, James Dean in this episode, and Rod Serling was playing the writer Rod Serling, but he wasn't very good on this melodramatic stuff. It seemed very, very pedestrian. When I saw it, it was an old kind of kinescope, kind of VHS tape that show, Dean, like I said, had some chops, but he wasn't there yet. Still relying too much a little bit on the method than anything else. So, ladies and gentlemen, this why it came up in conversation recently with some of my buddies. The TV Noir book that came out a couple of years ago by one of the researchers say this is one example of early film noir, or what you call the confrontational noir that was very popular between 1946 and 1953 or 1954. So it's considered noir because the opening scenes where he's having the meltdown is your typical film noir or TV noir trope. So, but James Dean, you can't take your eyes off him. He was a very talented guy and still continues to influence a lot of people in the modern era because, why wouldn't he? He was the original of the modern style of acting. And like I said, he could act his way out of your paper bag and his paper bag. He was that good. Thanks for listening. Bye.